in their minds, they're seeing themselves as doing the exact same thing that you guys are doing. So, but you know, I've heard them say, "Well, now you're on the side of industry," and you know, I guess I don't know if it's the nuclear industry or whatever, but you know, they take the attacks ad hominem, you know, to your person and your personal interest, but so maybe there is that direct action activist similarity, but underneath, where does that difference come? Because I don't know, it wasn't necessary. It didn't have the doomsday atmosphere. That, I mean, it was activist, it was anti-war, it was all that, but there is something different now, and I'm trying to figure out how and when and why that change happened.
We had a slogan, "The revolution should be a celebration." We sang a lot. We had parties and enjoyed ourselves. Today, it's like the hair shirts, you know. It's almost like self-flagellation is the correct way to have a change of society and to impoverish everybody.
Yes.
That's not how we were in those days. The difference is, though, the threat of nuclear war was real.
Yes.
The threat of climate change is imaginary.
Yeah.
And so if you are fighting for something that is just and true, it's different for fighting for something you've made up and sensationalized.
Right.
And most of the, you know, we more or less tackled all the serious things.
Yeah.
We tackled nuclear war and nuclear weapons testing. We tackled the slaughter of 30,000 whales a year in the oceans. We tackled the toxic waste issue into the air and the water. The rivers of Europe and Britain were dead even in the 70s. And they'd passed Clean Water Acts in the US and Canada, but over there was no fish in the rivers. They were just pouring their industrial waste into them. Yeah. And that changed because of us. But after you've dealt with all of the reasonably scientifically defensible things, if you want to remain adversarial, you have to invent new things which aren't really quite so real. So what I say is Greenpeace abandoned science and logic and adopted sensationalism, misinformation, and fear as their primary fundraising tools. And that's the way it is today. There's not many things I agree with them on these days because I don't think they're correct about what they're saying.
Yeah.
For example, let's go back to the fake invisible catastrophes and threats of doom. They're saying the polar bear is endangered with extinction because of climate change. They've been saying it for 25 or 30 years, over and over and over again. I was in an audience of 500 well-educated Canadians the other day, and I asked, how many of you know about the treaty that was signed by all the polar nations ending the unrestricted hunting of polar bears in 1973? And these are mostly older people.
Yeah.
And not one person had ever heard of it. Now, wouldn't you think that the media covering polar bears might mention it once in a while?
Exactly.
Because there is such a treaty and it has been well enforced. And the population of polar bears, the official number then was in 73 was 6,000 to 8,000 is all that remained because they were being indiscriminately hunted for rugs and wall hangings. And so today it is estimated, the average estimate is 39,000 polar bears. It's gone from 6,000 to 39,000. There may be as many as 55,000. This is the official estimate. The Polar Bear Science Group recognizes it. The World Wildlife Fund recognizes it. But on the World Wildlife Fund's webpage, it says, oh, yes, but over the next 20 to 30 years, the polar bear population will decline by 30% because of climate change. They have no clue that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And just for example, they act as though the more ice there is in the Arctic Ocean, the more polar bears there will be, like as if that's their habitat. And during the feeding season in the winter, when the seals come up on the ice to breed, that is when the polar bears get fat. But if there was ice on the whole of the Arctic Ocean, how would plankton grow in the sea? And if plankton didn't grow, how would fish grow? And if fish didn't grow, how would seals grow? And if there were no seals, how would there be any polar bears?
Yeah.
So it's not true that the whole Arctic should be covered in ice for a maximum number of bears. There's a balance point where you have open sea for much of the year. And the open sea actually is apparently creating more polar bears. Well, ending the hunting has been a big part of it too. But there is no problem with polar bears, zero.
Yeah.
And even the Inuit people who've lived up there for 2,000 or 3,000 years, and even today live there year round, unlike almost anybody else, they say now there are too many polar bears. It's a report has been tabled with the Nunavut Inuit Council in Iqaluit on Baffin Island, that's their capital there,
Yeah.
saying there's too many polar bears, and they've given it to the federal government, and the federal government just ignores it. Because the federal government's position is there's a threat to polar bears.
Yeah.
And they actually, I don't know why they believe that when the people who live there are telling them. They say there's too many polar bears, they're eating our people, they're breaking into our houses.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm not saying there's too many polar bears.
Yeah.
But they are having a lot of problem bears. And yet down south, everybody thinks there's going to be no more polar bears.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the coral reefs.
Hi, this is Dr. Kirk Megu. Thanks for looking at this excerpt of the interview. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, check out the link below to look at the full interview. And also, while you're at it, please, I ask you to subscribe to my channel if you like the content. Unfortunately, Google and YouTube have shadow banned this channel, so that means you're not going to see it in your recommended video results if you like this type of content. Even if you search directly for my videos, Google and YouTube are not going to show my channel. So the only way to spread it is if you like and share it with others. If you subscribe, you can even mirror it. I don't mind at all. Just get the word out. So if you can help me with that, we need this information to get out to people. And while I'm still allowed and alive on YouTube, let's spread the word as much as possible. So thanks. I hope you subscribe, and I hope to see you back again soon. Take care. Bye.